myths, marketing, and frequently asked questions. Hi, I'm Yvan Lacroix, and this is the Detailer's Business Academy, where we strive to take you from detailer to entrepreneur. Now, I've got a lot of little subjects that don't warrant a whole video, but I've assembled a bunch of them here, and let's go over them. First off, traffic film remover. What is it? Well, it's not necessary. No. You know, we used to call a car that was covered in traffic film dirty. It's a great marketing ploy by chemical manufacturers to get you to buy another chemical that you may or may not need. Now, traffic film, what is it? Well, it's been around for years. Ever since the first car, there's been traffic film on it. So it's not a new phenomenon. And actually, there's less and less and less of it. If you look at how some people define what traffic film is, it's the oily residue that's on the roads that gets on your vehicle. Well, cars are cleaner these days. I remember when crankcase ventilation went down to the ground in a tube. Now we have PCV valves, positive crankcase ventilation. That means those oily fumes aren't going anywhere other than staying in your engine and keeping the environment clean. The more environmentally friendly our cars get, the less traffic film we've got. So traffic film removers, if your soap or rinseless isn't cutting it, then change soap or rinseless. You don't need a separate chemical for removing traffic film. Another big industry myth is exclusivity. Why do you need it? Well, actually, you don't. If you're relying on a brand to do your marketing, if you're relying on a brand and their name to propulse you, well, you've got to look at your marketing strategy a little better, because that brand may not decide to be with you next month or next year or in 5 years. Or you might go in a completely different direction and your 5 previous years of marketing down the tubes. So it's very important to not rely on the chemical companies to provide your marketing image. Make your own image. And the exclusivity thing, well, nobody has an exclusivity on car wash soap. Nobody has an exclusivity on floor mats. So why do you need an exclusivity on your chemicals? You don't. It's the service that you provide to your customers that's important. It's that your customers are looking for. They're not looking for a brand name of chemicals you may or may not be using. One question I get frequently, how do I remove concrete? Well, you know, on this channel, we're not here to talk about products, and we're not here to recommend specific products. This is one of the cases where, yes, I am going to recommend a specific product, and that's Romix Backset Platinum. Now, I'll put a link down in the description. It's designed for removing concrete, and it's not going to damage anything on your vehicle. In fact, it's basically just sugar and water. A few other little things in there, but you can actually dissolve concrete with just sugar and water. So Romix Backset Platinum, one of those products that you don't need every day, but when you need it, it's great to have it on hand. So order a small quantity, keep it on hand. If you've got 5 or 6 detailers that you're buddies with, get a 5-gallon pail, separate it a gallon each, and away you go. One other little task that we don't see quite as much today, but we used to see a lot, was removing pinstripes. Now, most of the pinstripes today are vinyl, so they're very easy to remove. But there was a time when pinstripes were painted on, and those painted on pinstripes, the best chemical to remove them is Easy Off Oven Cleaner. Now, seems strange to be recommending an oven cleaner for a task in detailing. I'm the first one to say, if it comes from the kitchen, it should stay in the kitchen. But this is one of those instances where the Easy Off Oven Cleaner is just perfect for removing those painted on pinstripes without doing any damage to the vehicle whatsoever. Another question we see a lot in groups is, how much should I charge for this? Well, that's a loaded question, and one that I've touched on many times in different videos before. If you're asking other detailers, what do I need to charge for this service? You really need to start looking at your business and get a hold of it. Get a handle on what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because that's a very basic question that no one can actually answer for you. You need to find the answer out for yourself. Another question I frequently see on groups and answer a lot is, what's the best? There is no best. Trust me, there isn't. Find a chemical company that you like. Find a chemical company that gives you good support. There's no such thing as the best compound. There's no such thing as the best wax, the best coating, the best anything. There's no such thing as the best detailer. No. We're all here to do the best that we can with what we have. And the chemical manufacturers are just like we are. They're doing the best with what they have. Now, you might like some products from one company and not like others. And it's okay to mix and match companies. That being said, there's a lot of companies that have gone out of their way to build a product line that works well together. And if you find one of those companies and enjoy one of those companies, by all means, stick with them. Now, this is a question that always makes me laugh. What's the best compound to use on this car? Paint is paint is paint. It doesn't matter what brand of car it is, you're still dealing with clear coat. And when you're dealing with clear coat, it's just a matter of adapting your technique, maybe your pad. But you don't need to have 36 different compounds sitting on your shelf. Another question we get a lot is, oh, this car has soft paint, or this car has hard paint. What compound should I use, or what polish should I use? The one you have on your shelf. There's absolutely no need to go out and buy another compound or another polish just because you're working on X brand of car or Y brand of car. No. Use what you have. Adapt your technique instead of buying another product. You don't need to have a shelf with 18 different compounds on it because you might one day get this brand of car. No, it's not necessary. An industry myth that's been around for way too long is that a DA finishes better than a rotary. That a rotary requires a lot of work to master, and that a rotary cuts much faster than a DA. Well, if you do some testing, you'll see that those are really just myths, because a rotary actually finishes better than a DA if you know what you're doing. And is it hard to learn? No, not at all. And finally, a DA with the right product and pad combination is actually going to cut faster than any rotary you've ever seen. Speaking of the rotary versus DA debate, burning through paint. Well, actually a DA will burn through paint a lot faster than a rotary if they're both used with care and caution. So don't be afraid of the rotary. Go out and get a rotary. Enjoy the rotary. It's not for old guys. It's for everyone. Another industry misconception is, I'm a much better detailer than you are because I take 36 hours to polish every car that I do. Well, if you're a detailing porn star, that's great, because you like to polish a lot longer than anybody else. But are you actually giving your customer what they want? Are you actually giving your customer what they need? Are you actually damaging the customer's car because you're taking too much paint off of it? Paint perfection doesn't exist. Never has, never will be. You can look at the Riddler Award winners. I'm sure you'll find one or two little defects there, because they're not 100% perfect. They're there to look the way they need to look. And a car that's going on the street that will be washed by who knows who and with what products and what technique, you don't need perfect paint. Your customers, they require clean, shiny paint. As a detailer, our ego forces us to go for perfect paint. That's really not necessary. So that's an industry myth that, oh, I'm so much better than you are because I spend X amount of time. Well, no. You might be a better detailer, sure. But are you a better business owner? Not at all. Because you're not giving the customer what they paid for, and you're not giving the customer what they want. You're giving the customer what you want, and you're accepting what they're willing to pay for what they want. So it's a bit of a trade-off that, in the end, you're the one losing, not the customer. Are you enjoying this video? Well, I enjoy making these videos, and if you enjoy watching them, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share these videos. In the same vein, I can't charge those prices here. Well, actually, you can. You know, if you're competing against your local car wash, you may not be looking at the right competition. You're a high-end luxury service, and you should be priced accordingly. Now, BMW does not put the 7 Series on sale when Toyota puts the Corolla on sale. You don't see the Bentley salesperson sweating when Honda puts the Civic on sale. No. Different competition. Figure out who your competition is, and actually if you have competition locally, and then adjust from there. All the products from this company are crap. Well, no. Have you tried all of those products? Even though some companies are termed as low-end or beginner, doesn't mean they have bad products. And the same thing with the high-end companies. Just because they have a fancy bottle and an expensive label, and they charge you a lot for it, doesn't necessarily mean it's better than the lower price stuff. So be very careful of what you're using. And coming from the chemical manufacturer side of things, I can tell you that a lot of these people online don't know what they're talking about. You know, I've seen discussions about comparing product A to product B, and that product B was so much better than product A, and you can tell the difference, and blah, 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 blah. Well, product A and product B came out of the same vat at the same time. Yes. So be careful what you're spouting off about online. Is it something you actually have tried? Or is it something you read from someone else? And that's something that unfortunately happens a lot. People spouting opinions without necessarily having ever tried the products. No. So unless they've actually tried it, they compared it side to side, they've done every test possible, the only way for you to know is for you to try it. What's the best training? Actually, every training is the best training. You should strive to get the most training you possibly can, because the more training you get, the more knowledgeable you'll be, and the more knowledgeable you are, the easier things get. So yes, you might have been an industry veteran for 40 years, like I am, but still attend trainings. It's what I do. Our coating is 60 microns thick. Well, if someone is advertising something like that to you, start doing a bit of math. The average vehicle has 10 square meters of paint, and 1 milliliter of liquid spread over 1 square meter of paint gives you 1 micron of thickness. So if you're wanting to get 60 microns of something on paint, you would need 600 milliliters of that something to put it on. And that's assuming there's 0 solvent evaporation. Most items that are giving thickness as a specification, well, we'll say coatings, have a solvent carrier that evaporates away. So let's take that same 600 milliliters, but half of it is solvent. So if you want to leave, again, that 60 microns thickness, you would have to have 1.2 liters or around 40 ounces of product on that car to build that 60 microns. Be very wary of claims about thickness on coatings. A lot of them just aren't true. The black paint on this car is so much harder to polish than the silver paint. Wrong answer. It's exactly the same. The paint color is different, yes, but the clear coat, which is actually what you're polishing, is the same. The factory does not change the clear coat because of the color underneath it. What makes that black a lot harder to get to your satisfaction is simply the fact that there's no metallics in it, that it's a very dark color, and that it shows absolutely everything. So the silver car, if you were to put it under the same strenuous lighting and everything that you do for black, it would look just as bad or just as good. One thing that I find to be a bit of a myth is that black cars are harder to polish. Actually, I find black cars to be the easiest to polish. You can actually see what you're doing. A white car, a silver car, that's difficult to polish because you really have to concentrate on looking at it. Whereas a black car, everything jumps out at you. So for me, I find a black car easier to polish than silver or white. When you get a little more experience, you might find the same thing too. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas, please leave them below. I'm always happy to answer, and see you next video.